guys, welcome back to our kitchen. Enjoy the recipes. Hi guys, welcome back to another recipe here in our kitchen. Today I'm going to do up banana bread. Sometimes you can add nuts and call it banana nut bread, but we don't have any nuts, so it's just going to be plain old-fashioned banana bread. And I like to make this when the bananas are getting kind of iffy, pretty much where you wouldn't eat them. But there is a line. And you can tell that line because the banana itself will be, it'll be crappy white. The ends will be brittle and nasty, and it'll really smell banana-y. But right now we got 3 bananas sitting over here, and they're looking pretty good, just about right to where you want them. They're nice and brown. They're getting there to the point of where, I might not want to use them anymore. So I got to use them today or throw them out. And I'm going to make some banana bread with these guys. And when you peel them, even though they look kind of rough, when you peel them, they'll be a nice brown looking color, and they're really good for the banana bread. Now this one here would be okay too, although it really's got a little bit more ripening up to do. But don't use 3 bananas because that ends up to be too much, and it'll make your bread a little mushy in the inside. So just stick with about 2 bananas. So you're going to need your ripe bananas, and make sure they're ripe because that's the best way to do it. Going to need about a 1/4 cup of milk. Whipping cream is better if you got it, use that. I don't have it, so I'm going to use milk. 2 eggs. Need about 1/2 of a cup of butter, and it's better to melt it because you're going to throw it in your mixer. You're going to need some vanilla extract, some baking powder, salt. You're going to need a bread pan. If you ain't got one, maybe I'll buy you one for Christmas. You don't have one for Christmas, how come? And a couple eggs. And you're also going to need sugar. I use 2 kinds, brown sugar and white sugar, just plain old-fashioned regular white sugar. And that's about all you're going to need, and a mixer. Now I got one of them fancy ones, but you could use a bowl and a hand mixer if you want. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our butter and drop it into the mixer. So let's get at it. Let me show you the mixer. This here is one of them fancy ones. Rachel bought it for me for Christmas one time, and it's a nice brown purple color. But anyway, if I can set this up here, what we're gonna do, shut up Ricky, we're going to go ahead and add our butter right on into that. Now that's 1/2 cup of butter. Going to bring it down, and we're going to mix it. Kind of on the low medium for a bit. I'm going to kick that up a notch. Let's take a look. We're going to try to let this get a little on the fluffy side, and then we're going to add our sugars. 1/2 cup each. Now I like a sweet bread, so I got 1/2 cup of brown sugar packed down pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it in there. There it goes. I'm going to go ahead and get my white sugar now. And that's a half cup of white sugar. Just dump it right on in there. Let's take a look. Mix it up, just kind of blend it in there. Now I'm going to take the eggs, and you can crack them and pre-mix them if you want, but I figure they're going to get mixed up in there anyway, so I'm just going to crack them and dump them in there. Hopefully I won't get no shell in there. There's one. Successful. And there's two. Not bad. Okay, we're going to let that beat a little bit. While that's going, I'm going to use my vanilla extract. About a half a teaspoon. And I like vanilla. So I use the good stuff. And remember, I said McCormick. I'm switching to McCormick. I think that's what I said. But you just want a half a teaspoon because it's powerful stuff. It smells good too. Stock's jumping. Let's take a look at what we got. It's mixing up real nice now. I'm going to go ahead and kick this up to a higher speed for just about a minute. In fact, I'll just set it for 30 seconds. See what happens. I also need to start my oven, and I believe it's 350. And make sure I ain't got no pans in there. And we tend to put pans in our oven. $350. I'm going to shut this down for a minute now. It looks like it blended pretty good. Now you can do this separately, but I just turned it on low, and I'm going to add my dry ingredients now, which would be the flour, salt, and the baking powder. And I believe it's a cup of flour. I'm going to have to double check. It's been a while since I made this, but let me look. It's actually 1 3/4 cup, roughly 2 cups. So I'm just going to see if I can get a cup in here. Try to get it close. I mean, it's probably no big deal if you go a little bit over. And then just slowly pour it on in there. That was 1 cup, and I want 3/4, so 1 3/4 cup. Yeah, it might be a little over, might be a little under. It's not rocket science. Nothing's going to blow up if I add too much or not enough. So that's my flour, my wet, dry ingredients. I also need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and everybody knows what that does, right? It helps things rise. So I'm going to get 1, I think it's teaspoon. Don't want to put too much of that in there. It's a 1/4 teaspoon. Don't put too much baking powder in there, it'll rise up too much. So a 1/4 teaspoon. Drop it on in there. And I think I need a half teaspoon salt. I'll have to double check that too. Yep, half teaspoon. Alright. Let's get my ½ teaspoon salt in there. And that's my dry ingredients. You're probably wondering, when do we get to add the bananas? Right now would be a good time. Let's take a look, see what they look like. Oh yeah, these are perfect. Well, that was a lot longer than 30 seconds. You see, they're not terribly bad. There's no crap on them. Now you couldn't pre-mash these, but again, I figure why bother? They're just going to get all mashed up inside the blender, right? And this one's just the same. It's perfect for banana bread. Just look at that bad boy. And drop it on in there. I'm also going to add a little bit of milk. I don't want to add too much because I don't want this to be, you know, a real wet consistency. I want it to be like a dough. It called for a half heavy whipping cream, but I'm a little leery about that, so I'm just going to use maybe in the end just a tablespoon or so of milk. Just a little bit. Just use about a tablespoon. You don't want to go crazy on that. Now it would be this time that you would add your nuts if you had them. We ain't got them, so we're just going to kick that up a tad. Just make sure everything's mixed up real well. And it's looking pretty good. Take a look. That looks like a good batter. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything out of here and go ahead and put it into my baking dish. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention is you're going to want to spray down your baking, your pan, your bread loaf pan with some vegetable spray so it won't stick. Now, if you ain't got any of this, and it's just good to have around, so get some. But if you ain't got any of this, you can use butter. Just take butter, put it in your hand, and rub it all around that pan. But for, you know, it's easy just to spray it, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'll just do it right over here by the sink. Just give it a nice coat. And that's that. So let's take a look, see what we got. I'm going to go ahead and spread my batter. Now if your batter's a little thick on the side, go ahead and stir it up good, because sometimes these things don't get the sides real good. So get in there and give it a stir. Let me see if I can show you what I'm doing. You just want to stir it up real good. And I'm using a spatula. To give it a final mix. Because sometimes those things don't, you know, smack the sides and get them mixed up real good. Smells really good, and it looks about the right consistency. Pour it into my pan here, and you just get yourself a rubber spatula and get it all in there. Looks good. That's probably good. Good enough, they say. Now at this point, I like to drop it down. It does a couple things. It gets out any air bubbles. Although air bubbles probably good in bread, I don't know. And it evens it out, levels it out for me. So that's pretty much what it should look like at this point. Yeah, that's right. About an hour, 15 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there. And I'll set a timer. See if I can. I'll set a timer for, oh, let's just say 60 minutes. Now it might need to go a little bit longer, but an hour is a good time to start looking at it to see where it's done. And at this point, we just let it bake. So we'll check back in an hour. Okay, the timer just went off for an hour. I'm gonna pull it out and take a look. Smells good. It's looking good. Let me show you. Close it up. I don't want to lose all my heat. Take a look. It's got a nice little crust going on the edge, but it's still a little right there. Let me get a toothpick and we'll give it the toothpick test. Now, if you don't know about the toothpick test, you get a toothpick and you insert it into the thickest part of the cake and pull it out. And if nothing comes out on it, like this one, came out pretty clean, it's done. Let me see if we can get a close-up. Get your toothpick, center part, put it in there, pull it out. Yeah, we get a little bit, not a lot. So I'm going to say 5 more minutes. So let's put her back in for 5 more minutes. And then we'll come back. Whoops. Then we'll come back and take a look. Okay, there's my extra 5 minutes. Let's take a look. Really hasn't changed look-wise, but let's give it the toothpick test. Well, it looks pretty clean. My glasses on. One more time. It's clean. I'm going to call this done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and dump it onto our wire rack to cool. Hopefully it'll come out real easy because we greased up the pan. And you should really have 2 pot holders. I've only got 1. I need a pot holder to be great Christmas gifts. And not so lucky. Fear not. All you gotta do is take a butter knife and kind of go around it, loosen it up a little bit. And try it. Nothing? Take the heavy end of it and give it a good whack. Still nothing? Well, that means you probably didn't put enough spray in there. There it went. See, you can see where I didn't spray good enough. But there's the bread. Looks really good. We're just going to let it cool for a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and slice it up. And that's how you make banana bread. Remember, if you got nuts, add it in there because it's really good banana nut bread. If not, don't worry about it. It's still really good. It's good sliced warm and with melted butter on it. Really good stuff. So maybe I'll go ahead and slice up a little bit. I'll let it cool for just a few minutes. After it's cooled 5-10 minutes, or as long as you can wait, go ahead and carve her up. I'll put her on a plate. It's not the easiest thing to carve on when you're carving on a plate, but it's really all I got. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Can you see that? Still steaming. Put a little butter on that. It'll be good. Let's go ahead and finish carving it up. Whoa, look at that. You see that? I'm going to put a little butter right there. Let it melt right on down into that. Moist. Got a good flavor. Crust is really good. The only thing that's missing in my view are the nuts. But it's really good. And it's a great way to get rid of some bananas that are getting iffy. Enjoy.